You know what, LeBron James? You don't know me, and I don't know you. And with that kind of an attitude, I don't know if I want to know you. But I will say this much. You need to ride along with the police somewhere in America, and you will see it's easier said than done. LeBron James, if white policemen or white people in general out there just after black people, then LeBron James, explain to me something. You're a multimillionaire. Then why in the hell do you live in an all-white neighborhood, LeBron James? How come you don't move to Compton, California, where all black people and gangbangers and stuff at, LeBron James? How come you don't move your ass over there with Ed?
And us, I know people get tired of hearing me say it, but we are scared as black people in America. Black men, black women, black kids, we are terrified. But you don't know. You have no idea. You have no idea how that cop that day left the house. You don't know if he woke up on the good side of the bed. You don't know if he woke up on the wrong side of the bed. You don't know if he had an argument at home with a significant other. You know, if one of his kids said something crazy to him and he left the house steaming. Or maybe he just left the house saying that today is going to be the end for one of these black people. That's what it feels like. If you're sitting here telling me that there was no way to subdue that gentleman, or detain him, or to just before the firing of guns, then you're sitting here, you lying to not only me, you lying to every African American, every black person in the community, because we see it over and over and over.
First of all, LeBron James just sat there. He sat there and literally made up all of this rhetoric to keep some type of controversy going against the police and black people. First, let me start this way. There is some injustices in the world, and it always has been ever since this has been a country. There's been some times I can't lie about it that maybe back as far as I can remember back I've come along in the 1970s. Where, back at those times, you probably had police officers who were more inclined to stop black people. Most of those white officers and stuff, most of them are died off. Most of them are even retired from the police department. But what he's talking about now, he's saying that black people are afraid to come out of their homes. Black women are afraid to come out of their homes. Black children are afraid to come out of their homes, afraid of being killed or slaughtered by white policemen because they woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Well, I'm black.
Are you scared?
No.
Is your wife scared?
No. And I've talked to a large number of black people, and the first thing I ask them, are you afraid of the police? And they go, no. The first thing I do is go to work and come home every day. The black man or black woman who's doing right does not fear law enforcement. If you're going to work and you are the law-abiding citizen and you are black, if we did an interview with black people from coast to coast, most black people will tell you, no, I'm not in fear of the black people of the police officer. But again, we're talking about black people who are law-abiding citizens, not your ones that's selling cocaine, not your one that's robbing people, not your one that's committing burglaries, not your ones that's committing homicides, not your one that's carjacking people, not your ones that's raping women, not your ones that are doing everything under the sun that what we consider a violent crime, and then these violent crimes are done to other black people.
You would agree that LeBron James is a rich, at least financially successful individual, right?
Of course he is.
Any reasonable person would assume that he can take a break from the sport and maybe join a police academy or come do a ride-along, right?
Of course.
Would you invite him to come do a ride-along at any agency of his choice for just one shift?
Well, I sure would, because, of course, that's what happened to me. That's what happened to me when I was coming up. I was taught the same rhetoric that he was taught. I was taught by people who had that same mentality that he's lying about right now. You know what, LeBron James? You don't know me, and I don't know you. And with that kind of an attitude, I don't know if I want to know you. But I will say this much. You need to ride along with the police somewhere in America, and you will see it's easier said than done. The first time I saw the police actually take somebody down when I was coming up as a kid, and I lived in the housing project areas. I thought, man, if they have to do him like that, oh my God. But when I became the police and I had to deal with these same violent individuals, when it come down to time for me to have to make a physical arrest and these guys started to resist, there's times where I almost had to kill other black people. I don't want to kill anybody. As a matter of fact, I think you got to be a complete idiot to want to wake up, put a gun on, and want to go out there and kill somebody, no matter what your race is. You got to be a monster to want to take somebody's life because you have to live with it. The police officer's human. He bleed, he cry, he hurt, just like anybody else does. But people got this big idea that the police officer is just a machine or he's a robot. It don't work that way.
So you work in an agency that had a large amount of officers, right?
That's right.
Any of the officers you met in your career, would any of them go to work and be like, yeah, today I'm going to go out there and kill a black guy or a minority?
I used to make a joke about that. I used to walk inside. I said, I haven't met one officer yet to wake up every day and put his gun on. Well, let me see what some bitch I can go kill today. Now, he may exist. That particular officer may exist. I mean, considering the fact, you have some agencies that have a large number of policemen, like New York City, for example. They got almost 60,000 policemen, maybe over. You got agencies like the Los Angeles Police Department. They got around 10,000 officers. Chicago, Illinois, and all these are statistics. They have over 30, 40,000 policemen. When you have those numbers of officers, those numbers are astronomical. You're going to end up getting a bad apple, maybe a lot of bad apples, because it's impossible to weed out 60,000 people. Let's say, for example, if you work for New York City Police Department, you cannot weed out all those people. You're going to miss somebody, and then all of a sudden, you're going to have that idiot that gets in there and puts a uniform on, and he goes crazy. But America, just because of what he did, some people in America are going to say, well, all of them are bad. Well, if that's the case, then all black people are bad, considering the fact that black people do. Let me start this way first, because I hear this all the time. And this is statistics, and that's what you have Google for so the people that wants to go back and Google it, for the people that can read. Of course, if you can't read or you just that dumb, then of course you're gonna listen to whatever dumb that you listen to. Statistics, and don't take my word for the people that's watching this video. If let's see, what's the best way of putting this? I do think the best way to be fair is I think that when it comes down to black people and the police, I think black people are more afraid of other black people than they are the police. I think that's a fair assessment, because without me having to go into a long spell out, a lot of black people have been victimized by other black people, and I've heard black people say this, and they go, "Oh my God," and they're screaming for the police. In my opinion. And of course, there may be a lot of people that's going to get mad about it, but this is my opinion. People like Lebron James, he just sit here and just made it up he's got a platform. Well, if we want to stay on the subject about LeBron James, let's take him versus Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal had a very different opinion than LeBron James, because Shaquille O'Neal, I don't know if you know this or not, or anybody out there listening or not, but Shaquille O'Neal happens to be a reserve sheriff's deputy. So if you talk to Shaquille O'Neal or you listen to some of the stuff that he said, he's basically been out there in the squad car, and he was like, oh my God, he said, these guys go through pure hell. He's a basketball superstar too. And I'm pretty sure if he had never experienced it being out there dealing with these people that's doing all these violent crimes, he probably would have thought the same way, because I've once thought like that. I'm not immune to it. I thought like that also, because I was under the impression that the police was my enemy. I was under the impression that, they're after me. But the truth of the matter was, as long as I wasn't breaking the law, I had nothing to worry about. Another thing, when you go down to statistics, I hear a lot of people talking about crime statistics. And if you start talking about the crime data that black people do, the first thing somebody's going to tell me, especially black people, I've had black people confront me, and the first thing they said, white folks do more crime than black people do. That is true. That is absolutely true. I never denied that. However, they get things twisted up statistically because they don't read into things too much. They read one little thing or hear one little thing and they run with it. In the United States of America, the population of whites are like 71%. Blacks are like 12.5 to 13% of the American population. And I think the Hispanic population is around anywhere between 17 to 17.5%. Statistically speaking, white people do most of your white collar crimes. And just because somebody's white, I am not afraid to sit here and say what they do. If they doing a bunch of bull, I will call them out on it. Auto thefts even, believe it or not. And most of the white males are doing auto thefts. I know it seems crazy, but it is the truth. It may not be happening in your area, but yeah, they mostly run a lot of the large what you call chop shop operations and things of that nature, and money laundering. So yeah, they're doing most of those crimes because the population of whites is bigger than any other race in the United States of America. But when it comes down to extreme violent crimes, which is the ones that people are worried about, People in general are not worried about you stealing something. People in general are not worried. Well, they are worried, but they know it can be replaced. They're not, if you steal their car, they got the insurance company. If you break into their homes, they got the insurance company. However, the average woman out there, she's worried about being sexually assaulted. Most violent rapes are committed by young black males. That's statistics. You can look it up and you don't have to take my word for it. Most homicides per capita is done by black males. Now, when you look at it on the FBI statistics, it's going to show that white males are doing more homicides number-wise than black males. I think it's like in the 37K and the black people are doing like 26K. However, if you look at it per capita, we're only 12.5% of the American population. So imagine if we trade places with them and we was that 71%. The numbers would be astronomical. So if they're doing that 36, then if you're smart enough to understand this, it will quadruple. Say it will go, instead of being 37 something, it will go up to like 18,000 per capita. So like, take for example, like Chicago, Illinois versus Memphis, Tennessee. Chicago in 1 year had over 600 homicides. Memphis, Tennessee had around 220 homicides. We're talking about the crime statistics that happened in 2018. I think that's what I'm going by. People blew their minds, and said, oh no, Memphis don't have more crime than, those people are too ignorant to understand what per capita is. Percentage-wise, Memphis only have 600 plus thousand people. Chicago got 2.6 million people. So in other words, if Memphis equal the number of the population with Chicago, let's say it would take, Memphis need 2 million people to match the number that Chicago has. Memphis only got 600,000. They got 2.6 million. So in other words, we need a 2 million in that particular city to make us in Chicago be equal.
Now,
so those numbers would quadruple once again, if anybody know about mathematics, okay? Instead of it being 220, it would actually jump up to almost 2,000. The only reason why it does not, because the population is different. If you look at white males in America that's doing your violent crimes of homicides, there's 71% of the American population versus black males in the population is 12.5% of black America. So if you traded places with them, the numbers would be astronomical. So the people that sit there and they argue with it, undoubtedly, they haven't looked into the numbers too much, or they just don't know how. I'm not sitting here bashing anybody. I'm just out to tell the truth, because it is the truth, because the truth cuts you deep and it hurts. I'm black and I hate to say it, because it even hurts me to have to sit here and say these things about my own race of people in the United States of America, because when I walk out that door, I'm still black. It don't make me white or any other color. I'm still black, but I have to face the truth. You cannot get better unless you face the truth. You cannot sit here and ignore it. It's almost like a kid playing hide and seek. You're sitting here looking at him, he closes his eyes and say, oh, you can't see me. That's dumb. That's dumb. Just because you don't talk about it or you deny it, it means it didn't happen. No, it doesn't mean that. Here's my position on it about me being a black man in the South. Also a black man that's coming from the extreme poverty of the ghetto. And then this same poverty turned me police officer. So I'm able to see it from both sides. I'm not somebody who, even if I'm black, but I come from a suburban community with everything handed to me, and then I turn police officer, I probably wouldn't be able to see it. And somebody would say, well, you don't have a leg to stand on. But I do, because I know about both. I know about the poverty and living out there with the dope dealers and all the rhetoric that goes on in public housing without me even having to say it, and all the shootings and walking around carrying guns. I also experienced it when I'm going to school and I've got a gun off the street because I'm afraid to go to school where my own black people are going to school at. I wasn't a bad kid, but I'm carrying a gun to school because I'm saying they're not gonna bother me tomorrow. It wasn't somebody white that was bothering me, it was somebody black that was bothering me. Every time I myself have ever been a victim of a crime, or most people that I know that's black like me, was at the hands of another black person. And I'm trying to figure out, okay, if there's somebody that white that was doing it to black people, believe me, I would tell you. And if it was the police that was killing all these black people, I would tell you. I almost want to say it was in 2017. I think it was 2016 or one of them. I gotta go. Don't hold me to it because I got to go back and look at it again. But it was one of those years, 2016, 2017, because it stuck out like a thumb to me when I saw the numbers of people that were shot by police. In fact, this is the trivia question I've been giving to people like the last month or so. In 2016, there was 1,100. I think it was 2016. Don't quote me on it. It might have been 17. Y'all can go back and look, and if y'all find it, let me know. but it was like 1,140 something odd shootings by police in America. Even me, with me being the police, I thought maybe at least 1,000 were black people. That's what I thought. So when I ask most black people, even white people, the first thing they'll say, it must have been about 1,000 that were black people. But when I looked at the numbers, it was absolutely stunning. Only 220 were black. The other 900 and something were white males that were shot by other white male police officers in different parts of the United States. And I thought, Jesus Christ. And there was no black officer during this statistical time that shot a white person.
Do you think this is going to cause non-black officers to hesitate, and it could cost them their lives for fear of ending up in the media or being judged by celebrities, politicians, or being fired?
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of hesitation. I also think there's just going to be some proactive issues.
Do you think that could get an officer killed?
Of course it can. There's some good, honest police officers out here. They really care. But what you're going to start to see, and they want to do their jobs. But what's going to happen is you're going to start to see police officers that's assigned to these extremely bad areas. They're going to see a crime happening and they're going to ignore it. They're going to ride right past it for fear of, if I interact with this and it turns bad, it's not, see, the way it's being broadsided is if the officer is just riding past and going, oh, well, he's over there breaking into somebody's car. Let me go over here and kill this black dude over here. That's what they're portraying it as, which is totally false. I had been stopped before for things I knew I had did wrong, and the officers let me go. They treated me like gold. And I have ran across black police officers that treated me worse than that white police officer had treated me for no reason. Where they said the black police officer was worse than the white one. And I think that there's a reason behind that too. Because when you're seeing the young black males' clothes hanging off of them, they're doing crimes to other black people. The black officers see it and he's thinking, I'm sick of this. And he becomes irritated with it because I've been there before. He becomes irritated with it and he said, this is not cause for. So then he goes out, and when he encounter one of those young black males, the black police officer becomes more aggressive with them. And I've seen black police officers aggressive with young black males, and the white officer sitting there saying, hey man, chill out, man. That's the truth. That's the true story. And the white officer sitting there saying, hey, chill out a little bit, man, chill out. He's doing what you asked him to do. But the black officer just kept being I've seen white officers actually just grab him and pull him away. And I'm basing these things on things I've seen before. And some people out here that's watching this video right now, they can relate to it. It's people that's left their home and got stopped by the police and they weren't afraid. So that lets you know that the rhetoric that LeBron James put out there is all a lie. Because if this was the case, I'm 49 years old, a black man in the South, I would have been dead a long time ago.
How?
Who is y'all?
I'm trying to understand why you got me like this. I pulled you over at 101. I had him at 90. I was trying to pull both of y'all over. All right. When you walked to the car, I asked, what was the reason you pulled me over? You said, when I get your license registration, I tell you when you pull me over. That's correct. And then you said, get out the car. I got out the car. I'm calm. I'm you give me your hands right now. My hands been on my head, been right here in the air. Every time I try to put you in handcuffs, you pull them off. For what? Because I was reaching for my license, and you told me to step out the car. Hey, brother. I stepped out the car. That's all. That's all. Put your hands behind your back right now. For what? Why right now? Because you're being detained. For what? That's what I'm trying. Detained for what? That's what I'm trying to get the understanding of. You had an attitude when I looked in your eyes and the window rolled down. You said, follow me, and you turn your lights on, and pull him over. I followed you slowly. Put your hands behind your back. For what? I'm not getting arrested. You are getting arrested. For what? Get your hands behind your back. Why am I getting arrested? Get your hands behind your back. Why am I getting arrested? Why am I being arrested? You're being arrested for speeding, and now you're getting resisting arrest. How? When you didn't tell me that? That ain't what you told me. Give me.
Ram, please. Ram, please. Please don't do that. Don't do that.
Get on the ground.
Don't do that.
Get on the ground.
Don't do it. Just wait till somebody come, Ram.
I'm waiting on the ground.
Just wait till somebody come. Just wait till somebody come. Ram.
Get on the ground.
Okay.
Well, you ain't got to do all that.
Ram, please just don't move, because he's trying to mess with you anyways.
I ain't about to fight with you, sir. You need to give me your license.
Okay, so now you want the license. Now you want the license. Now you want the license. You want him to get on the ground. What do you want him to do? What do you want him to do? You want the license
Get
now?
on the
I
ground.
can't make it. When?
Get on the
I'm
ground.
not doing anything.
Get on the
For
ground.
what? For what?
Get on the ground.
Why?
Ram, stop moving. Stop moving, Ram.
Get on the ground.
You ain't did nothing.
Get
Okay, now he got his bag up. Just stay right there. Just stay right there.
And you pull me.
Put your hands out of your pockets.
He want the license. He want everything.
Help me get handcuffs. Put your fucking hands behind your back.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Y'all gotta do all that. Do y'all gotta do all that? Do y'all gotta do all that? Y'all ain't gotta do all that. You ain't gotta do all that, sir. You ain't gotta do all that. All that shit what comes for. Y'all supposed to be out here protecting us. Y'all sit up and chewing y'all goddamn ass.
First, I've been in a situation like that. I've been in a situation where the suspect was white. I've been in a situation where the suspect was Hispanic. I've been in situations where the suspect was black, and every time they got treated the same way. Number one, he's screaming about the officer never told him why he pulled him over. Yes, he did. He said, I pulled you over for doing 101 miles an hour. The highest speed limit is 70 miles an hour. That means he's going 30 miles an hour over the posted speed limit. So if he had been doing the speed limit, he wouldn't have never been stopped in the first place. There's a cause and effect. If you wasn't speeding, the officer wouldn't have never paid attention to you. He would have gotten somebody else. However, once he pulled you over, he told you to step out of the car. Your first instinct should be to step out of the car. And I always use myself, for example. If the officer gives me instructions, just do it. That's what they make the courts for. But you're not going to win on the side of the road. The officer explains to him that you're being detained. He never said you're under arrest. And everybody who's watching this, the police can ask you to step out of the car for any reason. It does not mean that you're being arrested. It could be because he's on the side of the road and you got a high volume of traffic and he don't want to be ran over by a big truck or something. Or he could be asking you to get your car because he can't see in the car. He don't know if you got a gun. He don't know what you've got and he just wants to feel safe. The bottom line is just do what the officer say do. The officer goes to put handcuffs on him. He clearly told the officer, I'm not being arrested today. Right then, if I'm the police out there and you tell me I've got charges on you and you tell me you're not being arrested, in my mind, oh yes, the hell you are. And so, when he keyed that radio up and you got the secondary officer listening to it, and I couldn't make out exactly what the trooper just said, but undoubtedly I can imagine what he said. I know what I would have said. I would have said, dispatcher, go ahead and start me another car. I've got one male black resisting. I got charges on him. He's resisting. He's pulling away from me. And he's about to fight with me. So I would have stepped it up too. So when I first got there to help that secondary officer, I would have grabbed him too. Because for the simple fact, he's already shown that he's going to resist. You got this female in the background screaming and hollering as if the officer is enemy number one. When the truth of the matter is, the only thing he had to do is do what the officer said do. Well, it's got to go back to the beginning. I've had this argument with people and they're going, but this and but this and but this and but this. It ain't no but to it. If you were following the law in the first place, you wouldn't have never got stopped. Since you did get stopped, do what the officer asked you to do. If he gonna give you a ticket, just ask the officer, say, look, I didn't realize I was going that fast. Here's my driver's license. Here's my insurance. Officer, I'm just tired. The officer probably would have still given him a ticket because I would have for going 100 miles an hour because a lot of people say, well, let's just slow down. You didn't have to give me a ticket. But the truth of the matter is, when you're going that fast, you're putting innocent people's lives in danger. And hit somebody and kill them. They can hit you and kill you or kill me. So yes, the officer's job is to stop him from speeding. Now, he is the cause of it going this far. The suspect.
Yes.
The suspect, not the trooper, the suspect himself, the one that got stopped, he's the causing of it going as far as it went. Now, you're going to have some idiotic people. They're going to sit there and watch it and go, oh, they didn't have to do him like that. Well, he didn't have to resist either. There's accountability. Like when I'm watching in America right now, everybody's saying, okay, let's do police reform and let's make the police be accountable for their actions. But then I'm accountable for my actions too. We're going to put all this stipulations on the police. Oh, we're going to make sure they do this. We're going to make sure they got cameras. Oh, we're going to make sure we watch the police. Oh, we got to watch them. They'll do something to you. Oh my God, they're out to get black people. You got the black guys out here that's carjacking people. So there's no sense of saying, look, you got to stop doing what you're doing too. You got to stop standing in front of the store loitering. You got to stop every time somebody comes along, you and a group of more guys messing with them. Every time you turn around, you're sticking a pistol in somebody's face, robbing them. Then you wouldn't have a run-in with the police. Go home and stop standing in front of the damn store. Every black neighborhood you ride through, they're standing in front of the store loitering. And there's people watching this video, they're going to say, I see the same thing, unless they just a bald-faced lie like Lebron James. They standing in front of the store. I've seen black females who are working 2 and 3 jobs. The black male, he's standing in front of the store, breaking in somebody's house, stealing somebody's car. Then he's wondering why he's having a run-in with the law enforcement officer. I'm black, but I never had a run-in with the law enforcement officer because I'm not doing those things. The rhetoric of saying that the police is out killing black people, I'm 49 years old. I would have been dead a long time ago. And I guarantee you, every person, whether you black, white, Hispanic, Asian, or whatever, if you've had a run-in with the police and they threw you to the ground, pulled a gun on you, I guarantee you was acting a fool. It's guaranteed. And I ain't just talking about black people. I'm saying even if you Asian and you got your ass over here in America and you was acting a fool, I guarantee you the police gonna treat you the same way. Because when I was out there being a policeman on the street, I don't care what color you was. If you acting a fool, I'm gonna deal with you accordingly. I never walked up and said, oh, well, you're white, I'm gonna treat you a little bit different. Oh, you're black, I'm gonna treat you a little bit different. You have to be accountable for your actions. See, a lot of things, I'm not saying everything, but a lot of things has nothing to do with race. It's got something to do with your behavior. I have been sitting in a restaurant and see people black like me. Everybody sitting there eating quiet. Next thing I know, I see a group of black dudes walk in and they're loud, acting a fool. Next thing I know, the server walks over and says, could y'all please be quiet? And all this stuff like this. Next thing you know, the police is coming. And I'm thinking, okay, wait a minute. Who was wrong? Was the waitress wrong or were they wrong? I would have called the police on them too. Because if you're acting like that, there's no telling what you're going to do. You can get mad all you want to, but the truth of the matter is you are responsible for your behavior because nobody's got a gun on you making you act a fool. You are. Nobody's got a gun on you making you loiter in front of the store. There's nobody white got a gun on you making you shoot and kill each other. There's no policeman got a gun on you making you go in the store acting a fool. Nobody's beating you up and making you do all this stuff. You made a choice to do it. So when you make a choice to do it, you better damn well believe there's consequences for your choices that you make. Well, if you take, for example, no matter what race you're in, if the dad is in the household, 9 times out of 10, the man, a real man, I'm not talking about somebody dressed up in a costume, a real man, he's been out there in the street and maybe experienced some things. He's maybe done some things. And when he sees that he's got a son and he's in the household with that son or he's in that son's life, he's able to tell his son, don't do this or don't do this because this is going to happen to you because I don't want the same thing to happen to you that happened to me. So again, you are whatever you're exposed to. So when the parents fail to give their children the proper information, the child only sees the drug dealing. He only sees the shootings, the stabbings, and things of that nature. So he grows up and he follows the same path. Everything is a learned behavior. Most things in our lives as human beings is a learned behavior. That's just like if you grow me up in a household, and I'm black, but you grow me up in a predominantly white household or predominantly white neighborhood, guess what? I'm going to act just like that white family. I'm going to act just like them. My language and everything is going to be just like theirs. It ain't rocket science. Like some people want to try to make it seem like it's this and try to make an excuse for this and make an excuse for that. There is no excuses when you got to face up to what you're doing wrong. If you know that you have children, you got a responsibility to teach that child. Like, for example, you got a responsibility. Like when my children was teenagers, the first thing I told them, they start driving. I said, son, now you about to start driving. I said, now I know how it is when you drive. I said, sometimes you want to drive a little fast. You want to listen to the music. You kind of want to be cool. I said, now, 9 times out of 10, sooner or later, you're going to get stopped by the police. I said, now I'm telling you, when you get stopped by the police, you need to do exactly what those officers tell you to do, and you will be perfectly fine. Well, I had taught him all this stuff. Well, he moved to another state. He calls me about 3 o'clock in the morning. I was still full-time on the police department at the time. He calls me about 3 o'clock in the morning. Dad, guess what? Police stopped me. They're stopping me right now. I'm fixing to act a fool. I said, wait. I said, wait a minute, Eric. Wait a minute, son. Wait a minute. I said, what are they stopping you for? I don't know. I said, no. I said, Eric, you did something. No, Dad, I got some dudes, Dad. Man, they already told me I'm supposed to cut up. And if the police fuck with me, they're going to kill. They're going to march for me. I said, wait a minute, Eric. I said, where did you get this senseless garbage from? I said, son, them guys you've been hanging around with, it's obvious to me that they don't have any parents worth a damn. I said, but son, you are my son. I raised you. I said, now here's what he still ain't listening to me. He's got it embedded in his head because he's been affiliated with them. They done told him to act a fool, cut up with the police, videotape it, and they're going to march if something happens to him. I said, Eric, that is dumb. What good are you to me if you are dead as a doornail and you got a bunch of dumb marching for you? That don't make any sense to me. When the only thing you have to do, he still ain't listening. Oh, he's going berserk on the phone. My police instinct, now I'm talking to him as a dad now. But then all of a sudden my police instinct kicked in. And I had to treat him almost like I had to stop somebody, but I'm talking to him on the phone. I said, you got your Bluetooth in your ear? He said, yes. I said, you pull that car over to the side and you put it in park. I said, you turn the ignition off. You roll down your windows to make the officer feel comfortable. I said, you put your hands on top of the steering wheel and you take your foot off the brake. And I said, everything that police officer tells you to do is going to be yes sir, no sir. You do exactly what he said do, and I said, you will be fine. I said, you keep me on the phone so I can guide you through it and you will be fine. I said, don't listen to these thugs out here because they will get you put in an early grave. And then they'll tell you they're going to march for you. That is dumb. When the officer walked up to the car, I could hear the officer say, good morning. He said, where are you headed to this morning? He said, I'm headed home. He said, he said, the reason why I stopped you, he said, the speed limit is 45. He said, man, you're doing 60. He said, you got your driver's license insurance too? I said, keep in mind now, my son's got his Bluetooth in his ear. He can hear me. I said, give him the driver's license. I said, give it to him right now. I said, don't you say a word. I could hear the officer radio key. I knew he was running the license. And the officer said, he said, I'm not going to give you a ticket. He said, because you was courteous to me. He said, I started to give you a ticket. He said, but I'm not. He said, but you do need to slow down. He said, if I stop you again, I'm going to give you a ticket. He said, another thing too. He said, you know what? He said, due to your attitude, that I'm not going to even take you to jail. He said, you've been drinking. He said, I smell alcohol coming from you. He said, but you know what? He said, due to your attitude, he said, I'm going to tell you to go over there to the store, get you a cup of coffee, stay over there for a couple of minutes, get yourself good and get ready to go. Get you a hot cup of coffee. He said, ease on home and do the speed limit. He said, you have a good morning. But see, let's go back to before my son called me. If he hadn't called me, he probably would have been dead. Because his first instinct was to fight with the police officer. Because he's been hearing this garbage like LeBron James with his lying. Yep. And he's going to cause a lot of young black men to resist the police because he's lying with his lying ready. I've been pulled over by the police when I was 18 or 19 years old at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And the police officer was white. I got pulled over by 4 white policemen one time in the South. Now, if the police was really just killing black people like what LeBron James said, I guess they would have killed me because they had an opportunity. It was on a dark road. They had an opportunity to do whatever they was going to do. But every word came out of my mouth was yes, sir, no, sir. And they told me, said, son, go ahead and go home. You make the officer comfortable by doing what he said do, and you'll be okay. But all this rhetoric right here, people like LeBron James, just going back to him. I would tell LeBron James, I don't know if he'll even watch this video. I don't know. I wish he would. LeBron James, if white policemen or white people in general out there just after black people, then LeBron James, explain to me something. You're a multimillionaire. Then why in the hell do you live in an all-white neighborhood, LeBron James? How come you don't move to Compton, California, where all black people and gangbangers and stuff at, LeBron James? How come you don't move your ass over there where they at? Because you know why? Because he wouldn't last 2 hours. He ain't gonna move over there where they at. If you what you saying is, why you move over here where you got all these high-profile celebrities and stuff at LeBron James? Why don't you move to Oakland, California? Why don't you move to Compton, California? He ain't gonna do it. But yet, he's around here speaking this rhetoric to poor black people, got them in an uproar, but he's living in a multi-million-dollar mansion that's surrounded by white people. But then he gets on TV and tell these lies to poor black people and got them tearing up their cities. This don't make any damn sense to me. But then you go out there and you put a bad name to the police, but you ain't even living in those black neighborhoods. I got to commend Charles Barkley. He's one of the very ones that told the truth. But Charles Barkley is probably going to be somebody like me. When they hear the truth, you catch a lot of backlash from, you shouldn't have said that, you acting white. Oh, you shouldn't have said that, you are Uncle Tom. No, I'm just telling the truth. And you know what? When you tell the truth, people don't like you. They hate you. They hate you when you tell the truth. Well, you know what? You can hate it all you want to, but the truth is still there. Today, I talked about a lot of controversial stuff. It's probably going to make a lot of people angry. It's probably going to benefit a lot of people. I hope it do. I'm not out to hurt nobody. I'm not out to make enemies with nobody. I do want y'all to understand something, that knowledge is power. The more knowledge you have, the better you do. I'm trying to make this channel as great as I possibly can. We're not just going to talk about law enforcement. I'm not just going to talk about, we're going to talk about everything. We're going to talk about maybe race cars. We're going to talk about fitness and working out. One of my next videos is going to be me working out in the gym. I'm going to show you how to work out properly. Yeah, I'm going to talk about the diet too. I'm going to tell you how to diet. And if you're walking around with your guy and you got a big pregnant stomach and, if you got a girlfriend or something, you can't, be with her because your stomach is pregnant. I'm going to teach you how to take care of all that stuff too. So, if you got a comment or a video that you would like for me to do, or if I said something, maybe I got it wrong, I can accept if I was wrong, put it in the comment section. But you got to subscribe to me. You got to subscribe to my channel. like it, share it, because these are the things that allow me to be able to keep producing these videos, because if people want to see them, then I'll keep bringing them. It's free. And this is a fairly new channel, but I promise you it's going to get better and better and better and better.